Hello and welcome to the Economy This Week series of Drishti IAS. I am Britu and today's session is about important economic events which had happened the last week. So today we are with the important economic events that what had happened the last week. So this session is important for your GS 3 perspective. Moving towards the points of discussion part. First of all, we are going to discuss food inflation may be over. So this is the question mark. So here we'll analyze that it is over or not. Then we are going to discuss about the agribusiness. After that, we are going to discuss about the Joint Parliamentary Committee and on what issue it has been asked to formulate. And then we are going to discuss about the progressive capitalism. This is the new term. And especially this term has been used in context of India, so that's why we are going to discuss this particular topic. So before moving to any discussion part, I want to tell you that this TIS has come up with the 40% discount on all the online courses and only few hours are left to avail this particular discount. So click on to the link which has been given in the description, and if you want to know more about this particular course, you have this number. So you can call on to this number 87501 87501 8010440440, and you can also click onto the link which has been given into the description. So moving towards the discussion part. So discussion is food inflation, and this particular news has been taken from the Indian Express. Why the worst of food inflation may be over. So here we are going to analyze that it is over or not, and if it's over, then what are the reasons, possible reasons to be over, and this particular thing we are going to discuss in context of India. We are also going to analyze the world situation in this instance, but here our main focus would be the India. So as you already know that world was facing this so much of crisis because of the pandemic, aftermath of the pandemic, and also so many wars are going around the world. We have seen the Middle Eastern war, we have seen the Russia-Ukraine war, and it's still going on. So in this scenario, it has become very evident that there will be the food inflation, and there are food inflation and there was food inflation. So today we are going to discuss that in future there will be the food inflation or not. So what we have seen that the data shows that retail food inflation ruled above 8% for the 8 straight months from November 2023 to 2024 to November to June 2024. So inflation was for the 8 months, but right now we are seeing the positive trends towards this. And how we are seeing the positive trends toward this? Because we have witnessed the decline in Consumer Food Price Index, and that fell by 5.4% in July from 9.4% in the month before. So this is a positive change which I have seen, and on the basis of that it has said that from past 8 months there was a consistent rise in food inflation, but right now this data is showing that this is a positive thing and there are high chances that it will balance it now. And there is a sharp decline into the what you can say the high base from 11.5% in July 2023. And if we'll discuss about the monthly CFPI rise in July 2024 over June 2024, so at 2.8% translate into the annualized inflation of 33.8%. So what you have seen that month of July data is showing the positive trends towards this, and there are chances that we can cope up this food inflation, and especially the India. If we'll talk about the regions, that what are the possible regions we have in terms of that. So the reason is monsoon optimism. So as you already know that monsoon hit Kerala 2 days before. So it was projected that it will hit by 2nd of June, but it hit around 30th May. So the first positive change we have seen, but after monsoon hit to the Kerala, there were areas which had not received the rainfall. But IMD had predicted that there are high chances that it will cover up in July. In the month of June, there was no much rainfall across the country. But in the month of July, it had covered, and especially in August also we can see the plenty amount of rainfall. So because of the monsoon optimism, there are high chances that crops will grow at their own pace, and there will be the growth in crops, and there will be the good harvesting season. And that's the reason that we'll have a better chance in terms of the food inflation, and we are able to curb the food inflation because we'll have more variety of crop, we'll have abundant amount of the crops. So that will translate into the curbing of the food inflation. So that is the thing. So if we'll talk about the current month scenario, the rainfall is above normal, which is 15.4% of all over the India. There are areas, especially the Eastern India, which had still less amount of the rainfall. But overall, if you look across the country, it is a positive sign. So we'll come to the this data that how we can say that there are chances to curb the food inflation. So here we have taken the data, and the data is around the 2023 to 2024, and here we have taken the normal also, that what is the normal and average thing. So if we'll talk about the rice, so in 2023, so this is into the lakh hectare, it was 318.16, but in 2024 it has increased 331. And if we'll discuss about the normal, so it is better than the average, which is 328. If we'll talk about the maize, so the normal is 75. In 2023 it was 79.17, and in 2024 it is 85. So it is way better than the normal. Then we'll talk about the cotton. So in cotton we can see the decline. Sugarcane we can see the increase. Jute and mesta we can see the decline. Pulses we can see the decline. So there are few crops where we can see the decline, but majority of the crops have shown the positive trends. If we'll discuss about the food inflation, domestic versus global, so the blue line is of the domestic, which has been incurred by the Consumer Food Price India, and the red line is of the global, which has been given by the FAO, Food Price Index. So what we have seen that there is much stability in the domestic market, and we cannot see the tumultuous shift. But if we discuss about the world scenario, there is so much of the variation and so much of the shift. So we can see that if we discuss about the India's food inflation situation, and in terms of the world food inflation situation, we are at a better position. So we'll discuss the another reasons for the curbing of the food inflation. So low global food prices. So in 2022 we have seen the Russia-Ukraine war, and as you already know that Russia and Ukraine are known as the breakfast countries, because they used to provide cereals across the world, and they are still providing cereals across the world. But what we have seen that there was a recent data in which we have seen that both countries' economic status has been uplifted, and they have Russia has become the high income countries. So what we have seen that they have also improved economically, and earlier the food prices were very much high. If we used to import cereals from the Russia, it was high because of the war kind of the situation, because of the disruption in the supply chain. But right now it has become better. So that's why the global food prices has become lower down, and that had also shown the impact to the India, and that's why we can see that there are chances that there will be the curb in the food inflation prices. Still, the monsoon season is left, and we cannot say that we have become so much efficient to curb the food inflation. We have 1 or 2 months left to analyze all this situation. Till the time we have to wait, but for now it is in a better and positive condition. So coming to the next one is about the agri business. So here we are discussing about the poultry business, and why it is important to have a livestock business and poultry business, because this is a form of a agri business, and this time it has been said that it is the most integrated and most unified agri business, and government and people should take inspiration and must take care of such kind of the businesses, because it requires less land, less resources, and it has shown the most, what you can say, integrated form, that every link is connected and people are performing onto that connected link. So that's why we are here discussing about the poultry business. So how broiled chicken industry has become India's most organized and vertically integrated agribusiness. So we have read few stories from different parts of the country. So we have taken one story for the Raghuvendra Verma, who has 2.5 acres of the land, and in 1.5 acres of the land he run his poultry business, and rest of the land he does his farming. So what we have seen that in 2.5 acres of the land he does both the agricultural one, the cropping one also, and the poultry business also. And what we have seen that if he is investing his labor and money into the poultry business, it is giving the more turnover, and it has everything connected, everything unified and organized, because these poultry and these chickens have this particular kind of the food items that has been supplied on time. Also they have this, that they eat leftovers food, so that also supplied through various chains. So that's why this is a very this has shown a very positive trends, and it had contributed to the economy in a very organized manner. So this is also one of the thing, that the turnover of this particular thing was the 11,000 crore. And that's why it's very important to have a discussion on such growing economies, because if government will take care of such kind of the economies, it will grow much nicer. And here we have another story of Digeshwar Sinha, and he has a 5 acre of land, and he also does the same, that he also run his poultry business, and there is a nets, there are so many chickens, and so by his own labor he is able to make a good amount of the money to this thing. So if we'll discuss about his investment, so his investment is only 9 lakh, but if we'll see the overall turnover, so it's more way higher than this. So this is about the agribusiness. Then we'll discuss about the what are the features of this agribusiness. So as we have already discussed that it has a ultimate integration, because every dots are connected here. And if we'll discuss about the India's agribusiness, especially the poultry farming, it has this particular phenomena, backward and forward integration. So India's poultry farming is still onto the backward side, and the next step would be the forward integration, and the government support is needed, the investor support is needed, because we have become very much good into the integration into a very unified thing. But if we'll talk about the what you can say forward integration, so there are more improvement and more scope to discuss into this thing and to invest this thing. If we'll discuss about the Indian broiler industry, so it is backward integrated and more than dairy, but isn't forward integrated as the latter. Dairies sell branded pouch milk, curd, ghee, butter, cheese and ice cream, whereas broiler chickens are predominantly in the wet market. So if we'll discuss about the what you can say dairy, so we have so much of dairy like Mother Dairy, Sudha Dairy, and there you can purchase what you can say so many products, milk products, curd, milk, ice cream, kheer, so many things you can purchase in a packed form in a very systematic manner. But if we'll discuss about the poultry market, so it's most of time we have seen that we have various mandis, machli mandis, we have chicken mandis, and they are mostly sold on the roadside markets. We are not saying that we do not have a good shops. We have few good shops which are in an organized manner, but if we'll compare to dairy markets to chick markets, so what we have seen that these markets are less what you can say exposed to the technology. They have a lesser modern spaces and cleaner spaces, and they are mostly into the wet market. So we need to work onto these areas. Now we'll come to the next one, which is about the Joint Parliamentary Committee, and this particular news has been taken from the Indian Express. Amid Hindenburg probe calls look at JPCs on financial allegations. So as you already know that recently there was a report by Hindenburg Research, and that report had made some claimed. And what was the claim? So the claim was on the Adani Group and also on the chairperson of the SEBI. And the report had claimed that the chairperson of the SEBI and her husband has utilized and invested funds which has been used for the money siphoning and money scandalous kind of the things. So that it has been claimed by Hindenburg report, and on the basis of that report, the opposition has asked that there should be the formulation of joint parliamentary committee, on which the current government has rejected this demand of the opposition. So here we are going to discuss that what is the joint parliamentary committee. So JPC is an ad hoc body comprising members from both the houses of the parliament, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. But Lok Sabha had a better representation. It has a double representation than the Rajya Sabha. And that's why JPC act as a mini parliament to carry out the details or any scrutiny about any kind of the cases. And joint committees are set up by the motion passed in one house and agreed by to the other, and details of membership and subjects relating to a particular JPC are decided by the parliament. And what is its main aim? So JPC's main aim into look into the documents and examine officials of any ministry or institution concerned. If one or more members disagree with the majority in a JPC, they can submit their dissent thing. So this is their main job, that they look into the documents, examine the officials of any ministry and institution concerned. So this is about the JPC. Now here we are discussing about the what JPC has done in terms of the financial thing and other things. So far if we have seen that the 3 JPC have been formulated for the particular case. So their main aim to discuss and to analyze the financial crimes happening in the country and who are the involved, what are the documents, forgery and so many things. So we had few cases like Harshad Mehta cases, we have 2G Spectrum cases in 2013, and then we have Ketan Parekh share market scam in 2001. And for these things the JPC has been formulated by the government. And what we have analyze onto all these schemes, that the JPC had been formulated and JPC had suggested some implementation and some precautionary measures to the government, but all those measures have been not implemented by the current government. So this has become a very questionable thing, that what's the use of JPC then, because so many parliamentarians are discussing and debating over this issue, and they're asking that there should be the formulation of JPCs. And if JPC comes with any kind of thing, it's not obligation on the parliament and government to follow all these kind of the rules. So sometimes it becomes redundant, but it is a very crucial tool in the hands of the opposition, because they can pressurize government and they can raise such kind of the issues, and they can weaken the government authority also. So this is about the JPC. Now we'll come to the progressive capitalism. So you may have heard about the capitalism, but here we are discussing about the progressive capitalism. So what is progressive capitalism? So progressive capitalism is that there should be the intervention of the state into the economic affairs of any country and the civil society. So there is an economist whose name is Joseph Stiglitz, and he has talked about the progressive capitalism, and he had advocated about the progressive capitalism. And in a recent interview, he had discussed about that India as a country needs a progressive capitalism. It means that the state needs to interfere into the health and housing things. It needs to invest. So here with a question, when he was asked in a question of in an interview, the question was, how is your argument for progressive capitalism relevant to a country like India, where the role of state is much larger than in developed countries? So what is the opinion regarding this India about by this particular person, who is Joseph Stiglitz? So he has said that India is a developing economy, and he said that India needs a progressive capitalism because there are areas just like housing, healthcare, where state intervention is needed, and people needed state intervention. State needs to invest, state needs to take care of all these housing and healthcare facilities. And also he said that India needs to maintain his environmental policies, especially the pollution related thing. So that's why overall it needed a progressive capitalism. So this is about the progressive capitalism. We'll discuss about this person, Joseph Stiglitz, Then why we are discussing this person and why his opinion is important to us. So Joseph Stiglitz is an American New Keynesian economist, and currently is a professor of Columbia University and also chief economist of the Roosevelt Institute. And in 2007, he got the Nobel Peace Prize as a member of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and he is known for his various kind of economic research, and he is author of many books, and his books are Measuring What Counts, The Global Movement for Well-Being, Rewriting the Rules of European Economy, and Agenda for Growth and Shared Prosperity. Nowadays, books have been also asked in prelims questions, so that's why I had mentioned these two books. And he is known to discover and to introduce economics, which is known as information economics, which is a branch of microeconomics, and in which it says that how with the help of information, an individual, a society, it helps that how their economic decisions are influenced with the information system. So basically he talks about the information economics, and for the information asymmetry he got the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2001. So this fact is very much important about this person, so do remember this fact. Now we'll come to the question part. So the question is, Joseph Stiglitz, who contributed significantly to the development of which area of study in economics, won the Nobel Prize Economics in 2001? Behavioral economics, information economics, developmental economics, and environmental economics. This is very easy one. You can answer into the comment section. Now we'll have the second question. The second question is, which Indian company has developed its own pure line broiler breed called Sunbro? Avia Jain, VH Group, Suguna Foods, Cobb Vantress. So you have to answer this into the comment section. Now we'll have the third question. The third question is, how is the composition of a joint parliamentary committee determined? Equally divided between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, representation solely from the Lok Sabha, representation solely from the Rajya Sabha, double representation from Lok Sabha compared to the Rajya Sabha. So you have to answer this into the comment section. Now we'll come to the last question. What was the status of the southwest monsoon in India during July 2024? Below normal rainfall, 10.9% below normal rainfall, 9% above normal rainfall, 9% below normal rainfall. So this is monthly kind of the question, will not ask in your examination, but this is to examine your knowledge, that what you had studied from this whole session. So that's it for today's session. I hope you like this session. If you have any queries related to this session, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you and have a nice day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.